your institute, it covers a wide array of fields from AI, blockchain, Edutech, and Agritech. What inspired you to, integrate everything of such a diverse disciplines to your curriculum and your initiatives?
Absolutely, Doc. So like I mentioned, I realized that, Africa has got huge potential, but the missing piece is
Right. That was fast. Good morning, everyone. We have a pleasure of speaking with our guest, Mr. Fredrick Nonde. He's an MBA and CEO of the Motley Institute of Business and Technology. Fredrick is a renowned expert in various fields, including technology, Web3, AI, blockchain, edutech, real estate, agri-technology, and more. And he's also a public speaker and author who has been instrumental in driving industrial development and enterprise growth across Africa. So we are thrilled to have him here at the, and he'll be talking about here at the Crypto Lounge, ICORBP. This is brought to you by International Council of Registered Blockchain Professionals, and he'll be talking about the Africa Future Tech Summit. So without further ado, we'll welcome Fredrick, and here to help me introducing our guest also is William. He is the business director of Alta Blockchain and also plays an important role at the Motley Institute. Go ahead, William. Please help me more in introducing our guest. Maybe I missed something.
Thank you very much, Doc. My name is William Nyirenda. I'm a business development director for Altash University and Altash Blockchain. I'm also a blockchain development director for Motley Institute of Business and Technology here in Zambia. With us here, we have Mr. Fredrick Nonde, the CEO for Motley Institute of the Business and Technology, is here with us to give an overview of what is going to happen at Africa Future Tech Summit. Mr. Fredrick Nonde, sir, you're welcome.
Thank you so much, my good friend William. You and I, we've been around together for quite some time now. Is it 30 years now? Or so? Yeah. And I'm delighted to be here with Dr. Vince. It's a pleasure for me to be here and to have a conversation on this wonderful platform. So looking forward to an exciting conversation. So I'm delighted. Yeah. It's a pleasure to be here. Thank you, Dom.
You're very much welcome here at the Crypto Lounge of ICORBP. But before we're going to start, I'm going to start this conversation. I'm going to ask William, how did you know Fredrick? Maybe give us a short background overview how this relationship started. I know there's there's a backstory with this.
Absolutely.
Actually, Fred, he's my childhood friend. We were together in primary school and also in high school. And there was a little bit of break in communication due to distance where he stays and where I am. And actually, the professions that we all embarked on from high school, and here we are because of blockchain. And we linked up again at the boot camp where Motley Institute of Business and Technology was hosting the event. And Fredrick did invite me to be part of that event. And well, here we are now with ICORBP trying to push the bounds in the blockchain space. Thank you so much, sir.
Absolutely.
Wow. Now, I'm going to go ahead with you, Fredrick. Can you tell us about your journey in tech and business that led you to become the CEO of Motley Institute of Business and Technology? And what were some key moments or milestones along the way?
That's an interesting question, Doc. Actually, my journey in tech and business goes a very long, long way. I think my upbringing, contributed to it because my dad worked for the telecoms department for the national airline in our country when I was quite young. And later on, we moved to the Copper Belt. Again, he worked for the communication department for the mining conglomerate at that time. Yeah. So he was working in an environment where, there were telex machines and communication equipment and stuff like that. So he could take me around to his workplace and I could see things. And then coupled with that, I was fascinated with robotics. I watched a lot of Japanese documentaries on robotics, electronics. So I really got fascinated such that when I went to university, my passion was in electronics. And of course, before I even took up computer science in my first year, again, I had another interesting encounter. My brother was already in university. So while I was preparing to join him, a year later, I went to visit him and then invited me to the computer lab because he had an assignment to work on. So 1995 is the first time I came into contact with the computer in real life. So I was helping my brother to do the typing and all that. That was, a nice experience that I was always looking forward to. Now, fast forward the following year, I went into my first year. I was studying engineering, and then there was computer science in my course. Because I was always fascinated with, computers and stuff like that, I absorbed myself into going ahead of the class, I would go into the computer lab. By that time, many people were not conversant with computers. We had a big computer lab, but people were, skeptical. Yeah, they were not keen to use the computer. So I would spend, I would go in there, doc, from 10 hours in the morning to 10 p.m. in the evening, just trying to explore things on the computer and stuff like that. And then coupled with that, in my studies also, I was introduced to business management and entrepreneurship. Now, coincidentally, my dad also became an entrepreneur along the way. When he left his employment, he became an entrepreneur. So again, he was inviting me along to participate in the business when I was quite young. I was still in primary school. I could get involved. He would take me around to the clients, to introduce me, and then sometimes he would assign me to go to the bank and do transactions and stuff like that. So it's a combination of things like that. And then immediately I left university because of the entrepreneurship courses that I took. I was so passionate about developing the private sector. So I set up my first company in the year 2000. So that's how the Motley ecosystem started, So it's been a long journey, yeah. But along the way, we had to set up the Motley Institute of Business and Technology in the year 2018 because of our passion for not just for business or entrepreneurship and tech development, but also education. I noticed there were a number of gaps and we wanted to make a contribution in there. So we went in there, and what motivated us so much, Doc, was the realization that Africa is very much endowed, with a lot of minerals, natural resources. The climate is good. We have water bodies. We have the human capital. Yeah, collectively now we are about 1.4 billion people across Africa. And yet we are not so much developed. So it made me realize to say the missing pieces were entrepreneurship and tech development. And this is what motivated us to establish the Motley Institute of Business and Technology so that we could make a contribution.
I remembered way back then you did mention about the first time you were exposed to a computer. Do you remember the modem? Just to connect to the internet, right?
I do. You needed telephone lines, yes. The physical cable.
You need a physical cable, you have a modem, you have a router, and
Yeah.
you could even hear the connection from the computer to the modem. It rings, and then there's the beep.
Absolutely. We are using diskettes, dock, very small capacity. You needed a bunch of them to keep your data in there.
Oh, you have those
Yeah.
2.5 discs.
Yeah,
First,
yeah.
you got those big floppy disks, and then you got the
Yes.
small disc.
So smaller one, was it 5 point something, and then the
Yes.
3 point something? Yeah, things like that,
Things like that.
And then
Oh, wow.
we didn't have Windows. We didn't have Windows, Doc. We are using MS-DOS. We're
MS-DOS.
using environment. That's why most of the peers were not eager to use the computers because it was not very friendly. But I was very curious,
Yes.
I was very curious. I went in there, wanted to teach myself things,
Yes.
Yeah.
And during
So
the
we
time,
started
even
from
the printer was not Matrix.
Mm.
Not the later. And you are right on
Absolutely.
that there is abundance of people, but there's a certain gap between technology, and I guess the gap is educating people, giving awareness, because you might have all the technology that you can have, but without awareness and education, you can't bridge the gap. You cannot really bridge the gap. Your institute, it covers a wide array of fields from AI, blockchain, Edutech, and Agritech. What inspired you to, integrate everything of such a diverse disciplines to your curriculum and your initiatives?
Absolutely, Doc. So like I mentioned, I realized that, Africa's got huge potential, but the missing piece is capacity. Okay? In almost all the sectors, our people lack capacity. So, having been exposed to, for example, in my studies, I was exposed a lot to, the American models and also the Japanese. That's why you even see Kaizen there.
Kaizen, yeah.
So I got introduced to those Japanese concepts while I was still in school. And I was fascinated by how the Japanese managed to rebuild their economy after that devastation at the end of the Second World War, Hiroshima, Nagasaki. So how the Americans use their techniques, and concepts and everything. They went to Japan to help rebuild, and how the Japanese embraced that. And then I noticed that the Japanese did not copy and paste the American, concepts and techniques, but they localized them. They modified them to fit the local environment. I was fascinated by that. Okay, and then seeing how the Japanese did it in less than 10 years. Okay, from being the most devastated economy the whole world, they became the second strongest economy in the world in less than 10 years. That was fascinating. So now you notice the capacity that they had to build, and then they had to embed it in their culture, their work culture and everything. So it starting like the Kaizen principles. They start from home. Okay, so it's part of their lives and stuff like that. So coming to a realization that our people need capacity in all sectors if we are going to drive development. Okay, that's the reason why I became so passionate about education, Doc. So I'm not just a tech guy or a business guy, but I'm an education entrepreneur because I feel there are certain gaps we need to fill up in the education sector, so that our people are not just schooled, Doc, as it were. They don't just pass through the schooling system, but we need to really educate our people, impart skills, practical skills, real life skills, talk of technology, agriculture, for example, mining. These are the sectors that can really empower people and also help us to develop our countries and our continent as a whole.
William, do you have any follow-up questions that you would like to address?
At the moment, you may proceed. No follow-up questions, huh?
Oh, thank you. There's a significant involvement in real estate. Am I correct, Fredrick? You do have a good involvement in real estate, agritech, industrial development. At present, how do you see these industries evolving in Africa on the next few decades, particularly in the context of technology advancement?
You see, something has happened on our continent the past 3 years. Okay, that's when the AFCFTA, started to be implemented. Okay, so by the year 2018, all the member states of the African Union agreed to come into the free trade agreement. So they are calling it the Africa Free Continental Trade Area. So this agreement has brought together 54 of the 55 countries. These have already signed, and over 46 by now. They've ratified, they've deposited the instruments of ratification, and the implementation started in January 2021. So now this AFCFTA is integrating the African economy. Okay, so we are no longer talking about individual countries. For example, Zambia, a population of 20 million people. We are looking at the whole continent, 1.4 billion people, That presents huge opportunities for people across the continent. And why do we have huge opportunities? Because like I mentioned, Africa is lagging behind in terms of development. So the problems that we face across Africa, we've started seeing them as opportunities, okay, for us to, create empowerment opportunities for our people. And we can't talk integration of these, individual economies, without building infrastructure, for example. And then, we can't just build infrastructure. We are talking about feeding our people across the continent. That's why we have to get into agriculture. And then, like I mentioned, Africa is rich in natural, resources, in minerals. We have to talk mining, Yeah, we have a lot of minerals. Now, the challenge was, why the FCFTA? It was realized that, as African countries, we trade more with the outside world. 80% of our trade is with the outside world. We only have 18 to 20% of African trade. Can you imagine? So the FCFTA is trying to change the narrative. Okay, how do we encourage intra-Africa trade so that we don't export our raw materials, We add value right in our own countries here. That way, we need to set up more industry, right? Yeah, more processing plants and stuff like that. That way, we're going to build more infrastructure. We're going to create more jobs. We're going to create more empowerment opportunities. And then, like I mentioned, our education system was not well designed because it was focused on the schooling people. When these people come out of the education system, they can't build anything. They were so much dependent on getting employment. You see that? Yeah, so they were not enterprising and all that. So having been exposed to entrepreneurship, okay, first of all, my background, my dad brought me up in that environment, and then I studied entrepreneurship in my course. So that motivated me. And straight from school, I set up my first enterprise. And I was so passionate about the private sector, Yeah. At that time, interestingly, coincidentally, we are coming out of the privatization era, after I think we moved from the socialist, economy to the capital after change of government. So there was massive privatization, and that time our people were not prepared to take up the responsibility to run private enterprises because they're coming from the public sector.
Correct.
So the whole private sector collapsed. Okay. And it's what pushed me to say, how can I be more relevant here? Okay. How can I contribute to that? So it pushed me to, study entrepreneurship development. And then I pushed into technology as well, realizing that, we can try to build businesses by using technology as a backbone. Okay. Yeah. But the environment was not prepared for that, Doc. So it has taken us a while. It's now that, things are shaping up now, times have changed, and the pandemic also gave us a big push, So the pandemic has pushed us, Doc. There's, an increase in the absorption of, technology and stuff like that, including the emerging technologies that we're talking about now.
Mm-hmm. And I think the pandemic woke up a lot of people. It's a red pill that they have to realize things really need to change. And entrepreneurship has a big role, because once governments shut down, how can you earn your keep? And you gotta find ways how to be alive during those times, how to make money. And that's where entrepreneurship comes in. It's a rude awakening, but it needs to happen.
Absolutely.
My question to you is, there in Africa, what's just a rough idea, percentage wise, how people are into entrepreneurship? Right now, is there a big movement going into entrepreneurship, or that's why you did mention that's the reason why you are there, to make that big shift? But where is Africa now in terms of that mindset?
It's a good question, Doc. Yeah. So, like I mentioned earlier, we've been doing business in Africa for centuries, I must say, right? But through the exposure that I went through my studies and stuff like that, I came to realize that I think for the most part, we've been doing business, Doc. We've not been entrepreneurs. We've been businessmen and women. That's why we're so comfortable with trading, You just buy a few goodies here, you resell here, without producing anything. Okay. So like I mentioned now, we needed to change our mindset. We needed to develop this entrepreneurship mindset where we prepare our people to be able to take risks and be able to see problems in their local community as business opportunities, instead of sitting back, complaining, crying to the government and everything. This is the drive we are in now. So it's part of our training program, Doc. We try to change the mindset of our people, prepare them to say, when you are faced with a problem, okay, don't freak out, don't start complaining, and don't blame everybody, including the government, but see that as a business opportunity. Because the best way of starting a business is to identify a problem in your local community, the pain that people, are contending with in your local community, or a need that is not being, satisfied. And once you devise a workable solution, a viable solution, that becomes a business idea. Okay. And the beauty is, if you start with identifying a problem and then you build a business around that, you already have a market. You see, because you have people who are struggling with the problem. So already you have established market there, and such kind of business ideas are more scalable. So this is the path we are in, Doc. Like I mentioned, my background, I learned from my dad, and then I grew up like that, and then I did my studies. Now, in most of our schools, yes, there's entrepreneurship being taught now, but you find that our teachers have never been entrepreneurs.
Yes.
So what they're teaching is theory.
Yes, I totally agree on that. You got teachers in the academy teaching things that they don't practice.
Absolutely.
They teach about business management, but they don't have their own business. They're educators. Teach about entrepreneurship, but they're not entrepreneur themselves. It's all theory.
Absolutely. So just to quickly now address the situation, Doc. Majority of our people are businessmen and women. They do not step out of their comfort zone. And I learned that for you to be an entrepreneur, you need to have an enterprise. You need to have a formal enterprise, and then you're not going to work alone there.
Right.
You're going to have to build up a team around you. You see the difference? Eh? So you're creating your own job and you're creating jobs for others, and then you're building an enterprise from nothing, okay? As opposed to trading or just doing business as it were. There are people who do business 5 years, just one person. You get the point. So we needed to move from there. And then, like I mentioned, our people were fashioned to think in terms of employment. When I finish school, I'll have to get a job. And Doc, in my time when I was growing up, I remember one time, my dad became, he had a job, and then he became an entrepreneur later on.
Yes.
So I realized that my dad was a pushed entrepreneur, because he became an entrepreneur because of changed circumstances. But for me, I consider myself as a pulled entrepreneur because I was attracted to entrepreneurship, because of the opportunities and the potential that entrepreneurship has to be able to empower individuals. And with that, Doc, of the 1.4 billion people across Africa, the official statistics show that over 420 million are youths who are eligible for employment, or indeed they can start up a business. And yet the job market at the moment only has capacity for 10 to 12 million per annum. So you can imagine. Yeah. And then of the 1.4 billion people across Africa, half the population is female. And the majority of those that are in cross-border trade, international trade, are women, So we have also so many women who have been, engaged in business. But again, we are missing that entrepreneurship, aspect. And this is what motivated us at the MIBT, Doc, to say, how can we step in and start building capacity for our people? Instead of them waiting to be employed, the government to employ them or somebody, we can impart them with practical skills, technologies. It's one of those skills that, somebody can acquire, and then they can try to solve a little problem here and there, and then, devise that into a business idea. And then we are telling our people, you don't need to have the money for you to get started. Start with the problem, identify the problem. The solution to the problem will attract the resources. That's our approach, Doc. No wonder in entrepreneurship, there's a famous saying or quote, the grave must be one of the richest places in the world, because there are brilliant ideas that end up in the grave. But now, if you are to maybe look at the impact that those ideas would have created if at all they were implemented, but the owner died with those ideas because they didn't have the money. Okay, so we are changing the narrative, Doc. Majority of our people are not entrepreneurs. No wonder we are not developed. We can't process our own raw materials. We can't add value. We'd rather export our raw materials and then import the finished goods. So that way, we are not building industry. We are not, creating jobs. We are exporting jobs. So now we are trying to change the narrative. With the coming of the AFCFTA, MIBT is very much involved, Doc. The last 3 years, we set out on the continental stage because we realized that, you see, this need that we are talking about entrepreneurship is not just peculiar to Zambia, okay? But almost the whole continent has the similar story. So now we are trying to participate at continental level so that we can be able to build capacity for our people. So that majority of them, if they become entrepreneurs, they start thinking in terms of entrepreneurship. They will not wait for anybody to create opportunities for them, but they will do it for themselves. And what will motivate them is just identifying a local problem. There are so many problems in Africa. So that should translate into so many business ideas.
I'm sure. I gotta go back something for the sake of our audience who are listening. Right?
No problem.
Who will be listening? Well, you talk about doing business and talking about entrepreneurship. In your most simple words, how would you define and differentiate one from the other?
This blockchain continuing education program is brought to you by our major sponsors: HTML Coin, Utility Coin Beyond the Hype, Utash University, your online school in the fourth industrial revolution, Libra Codes, take control on your NFT creation, and Credence Hub, verified credentials, anytime, anywhere. We also would like to thank our partners.
Yeah, so business has been very common, like we mentioned, the doc. So you can do business by buying from an already existing product. Somebody is already producing, they're manufacturing. Then you just buy from there, and then you go to your local community and you resell. You're doing business. You're not an entrepreneur. But as an entrepreneur, you also find ways of, setting up your own plant or your own manufacturing plant or your processing plant, okay? And try to do things differently from these other entrepreneurs already producing. Because you notice maybe there are some gaps in the market, okay? There are still gaps. Although there's this product that is being, supplied to the market, but there are still some gaps, or maybe the product is lacking certain, attributes or functionalities. So as an entrepreneur, you see those gaps, and then you also come up with a better product that you're going to produce from the scratch. Okay. Now that's a huge undertaking, though. Already we said most of our people are freaked out when they think of the amount of money that is needed, the capital that you need to get started. So they would rather, trade into easy things where even the risk is not as huge. But as an entrepreneur, you are prepared to take up the necessary route for you to build or to translate your idea into an enterprise. Okay, to build a team around you, Doc, and then to forego the idea of having maybe a regular income, so to speak, maybe a salary, a monthly salary. As a businessman, you can afford to, you are doing a job and then you're also doing a small business on the side. But as an entrepreneur, Doc, you might need to step out of your comfort zone because you have to dedicate yourself to the enterprise. To build that, it's a lot of risk, it's a lot of hard work, it's a lot of responsibility. And then how are you going to convince the people of the capital and the resources, okay, to buy into your idea? Okay, so that's the ability you need to build as an entrepreneur. You don't need to have the money. As long as your business idea is viable, there are people who are looking for investments. Okay, so you have to also develop that ability to attract the needed resources and also to be able to negotiate on a win-win situation. So those who invest in the business, maybe in form of equity. Okay, yeah. So again, we need to shift a little bit in Africa because we are not used to maybe working with co-founders. We used to like working alone, sole trader, as it were. No wonder we could not scale and things like that. So we are changing that narrative. You can build, a team of co-founders, shareholders. They can come in, have a stake in the business. You distribute the risk, distribute the responsibility, and then you tap into, more ideas and more resource. Okay. And then when you work as a team, there's signage there. Look, you can accomplish much more when you collaborate, unlike when you work alone. So all these are the capacities that we're trying to build for our people. Now, simple definition, entrepreneurship, we can think of it in terms of an equation. So entrepreneurship equals the entrepreneur plus the enterprise. So where there's no enterprise, there's just a business person there, there's no entrepreneurship, in a nutshell.
William, anything that you want to add? Any questions so far to Fredrick? And what's your mindset right now in terms of entrepreneurship and the technologies that we have?
Thank you very much, Doc. And really, from whatever Fredrick has explained, our education system has been way over to educate and get a job. There's nothing like you go to school to learn a trade. There are very few institutions that offer that. And what MIBT is doing is really commendable, and we would want to push in that direction with great support from great people like you, Doc. And I know we have a bright future because we have what it takes. We have the zeal, we have the courage, we have the resources, we have the human resource, and we have the support. So we really have to push and get to a better stand in our society. Thank you so much, Doc.
Thank you, William. Now, with regards to Web3 and blockchain, does African enterprise face a unique challenge on this? Are there challenges that you face and different opportunities in adopting these technologies? And what are the most significant experience and faced? And how do you think that these things can be overcome?
Okay, thank you so much, Doc, for that question. Indeed, for Africa, catching up with the rest of the world in terms of emerging and cutting-edge technologies like Web3, blockchain, I think mostly it has been a lack of awareness. Okay, yeah, there's a lot of lack of awareness, and at the same time, there's no, I think, policy, okay, to drive or to work around these technologies or to regulate and stuff like that. So because of that lack of regulation also, there's been a lot of skepticism. Yeah. So the approach we are using, Doc, is that we can't lag behind as a continent. Okay? The whole world has moved. And interestingly or coincidentally, the pandemic, like we've mentioned already, it had to push us in this direction. So we have no choice, because even before the pandemic, Doc, we tried to do a lot of online virtual learning. Most of our people did not appreciate it so much. Even the parents, they did not feel like their child was getting a real education if they were learning online, So when the pandemic came, all the institutions were pushed into the virtual space. So you see how the tide, changed, Because of the pandemic, we had no choice. So we couldn't meet, in the physical space. So we are told you have to meet virtually. So institutions of learning started also finding ways of adapting.
Right.
Okay, how do we cope with this? Because we need the learners, we need the revenue and everything. Okay, so I must say that now as Africa, we are trying to catch up to the rest of the world, and I've seen a commitment from governments, like our government, for example. Sometime last year, a digital revolution was declared. Okay, so our head of state declared or pronounced a digital revolution and opened up the country, the economy, to innovation. Anybody who has got, ideas, tech solutions and all that, they are free to come on board. And then we've seen also the central bank, the Bank of Zambia, is also spearheading. They are trying to promote a cashless economy. Okay, so that makes it, quite viable for emerging technologies, Web3, blockchain technology, and all that. Was that encouragement to say we just have to go cashless because of the many advantages that are there, And then we are working with institutions of learning, Doc. So institutions of learning provide a good environment for us to develop the appetite for these new technologies. We have the faculty staff there and the students who are curious, who are keen to jump on the wagon. And just as we started, rolling out these technologies, Doc, we've seen a very good appetite, good response. Right now, we have a community of over 300, students, developers, innovators, and entrepreneurs. We have a community right now that we work with. Okay, but coupled with that, I think what sets us apart mostly at the MIBT is, most institutions of higher learning, they don't handhold the students, as it were. After the training, they don't get involved, in the empowerment of the learners. At MIBT, Doc, we have an innovation and incubation hub, and then we have mentorship programs where we are, fostering, startups. Okay, we supporting them so that they really set up right from the training. They're able to set up and create their own employment and start solving problems in the community and stuff like that. So programs like this, Doc, and our association with Autash University and ICORBP, I think, is a game changer as well. That's a support system that my colleague William was referring to. That at MIBT, we have this support system, and then together we are creating the awareness through these programs, webinars, we're having boot camps, we're doing hackathons, we have seminars, we're doing summits, conferences, workshops, and things like that. So with resilience, okay, I think many people are becoming aware of these technologies, and they are seeing the real benefit of it, and I think they are coming on board.
Yes, this segment is brought to you by International Council of Registered Blockchain Professionals in partnership with the Motley Institute of School of Technology. Let's go to your activity, the Africa Future Tech Summit. Talk more about that. What will happen? What are the things that people will expect? Talk more about AFTS.
Thank you. Thank you so much, Doc. AFTS for us is a landmark event that will definitely, create a platform, okay, for tech enthusiasts who bring together, the private sector, to bring together the academia. We're going to bring together, the students, the developers, the innovators, entrepreneurs, so that together we can, exchange, ideas. We can also gain valuable insights, Doc, into these latest trends that we've talked about, the emerging and cutting edge technology, and how we can apply these technologies in our businesses. Web3, AI, blockchain, robotics, these are just taking over all the sectors. Okay? Yeah. Because of the capabilities that these technologies have. So the summit also create opportunities for us to network, to collaborate, and also to continue learning while adapting and navigating to the rapidly changing tech landscape. So we hope that the Tech Summit, Doc, will inspire all of us that will be in attendance to continue thinking creatively, ambitiously about the future, recognizing the vast potential of African talent and the opportunities available, on the continent, like we've alluded to. And so by leveraging the knowledge, the connections that you gain from the summit, Doc, we hope that the attendees will continue to drive positive change, foster innovation, and contribute to building a thriving, tech and business ecosystem in our continent, especially with the coming of the AfCFTA, in which we are actively involved. So the event, Doc, takes place next month from August 12th. That will be the first day, which will be a Monday. It's a 5-day event. It goes up to August 16, which is a Friday. And the venue is the new government complex. It's in the central, part of the capital city, just very close to the city center. Okay, to the town center, if you like. And we're gonna have a number of events, Doc, within the summit. For example, we'll be having the hackathon on the emerging technologies. Web3, ICT, blockchain, AI, we'll be having a hackathon. Okay. And then we have another side event for girls and women in tech. We'll be having that. And then we're going to have master classes in entrepreneurship, coupled with climate change. We're going to have a side event on climate change. We have a side event on the AfCFTA and how, technology, is impacting the implementation of the AfCFTA. And we also have enterprise risk management, Doc. It's another area that we need to talk about during the summit, because most organizations, they dedicated risk management to a department, as it were. But we understand that running a business, the whole undertaking is a risk. Okay, so risks start from the corporate governance level up to the very bottom. So we'll be talking about risk management and how technology also comes into the picture. And I think the highlight will be the official launch of the Indo-Zambia Blockchain Alliance. Because of our dedication, and our passion for developing blockchain technology, we are launching the Indo-Zambia Blockchain Alliance, which will be a platform that's going to bring all the key stakeholders and the collaborators so that we continue developing these technologies together. So it's going to be an event full of activity, Doc. Yeah, so we hope, we have interest from across the continent. Everybody wants to be associated, and we'll make sure that there is physical attendance and also virtual attendance.
Will there be a live broadcast in any social media?
Absolutely. Absolutely. We are making those arrangements.
Okay, I think please keep us updated here in ICORBP so that we would like also to broadcast that event, things that are going on, and feature this specific event because this plays a big role in the blockchain space, not just blockchain space, but exponential technologies, all of those stuff.
Absolutely, because we would not just love you to stream or to broadcast, but we want you to have a part in it. We want you to make a presentation, So we're extending an invitation using this platform now.
Wow!
So we'd love to have you, make that contribution to the event. We're making those arrangements, so it would be nice to have you.
It would be an honor and a pleasure. I'll talk to Ahmad about that. William, final thoughts before we go?
Yeah, thank you so much, Doc. At MIBT, we are equal to the task. We are ready for the journey, and we are so happy to have you on board. Thank you so much, Doc.
Final thoughts, final message. What is the core message that you want to convey to our viewers, to the people in Africa, for them to embark on this journey in technology?
Absolutely. So, colleagues, realizing the capability and the potential, that technology has, impact lives, solving problems and stuff. It's exactly what we need. Like I've mentioned, I've been in the space for the past 20 months. So I've seen the power of technology in any sector. And now the time is ideal because where we're coming from, the environment was not ideal. But like we keep mentioning, colleagues, times have changed. Life has evolved. Profiles of individuals have equally evolved. The way we work, the way we live our lives, the technology era continued to develop as well, right? And then along the way, there came the pandemic, okay? The COVID-19 pandemic, which taught us big lessons, and it brought about disruptions in our lives. And then we've realized that, we've become so dependent on technology. So like we've mentioned, technology is a very powerful tool that we need to embrace in our lives, not just in one aspect of our lives, but everything that we do. And this what will help us to, empower ourselves and also develop, our individual countries and also develop the continent as a whole. And then you see technology is helping us to collaborate. You must know that collaboration now is our new competition. So as Africans, we need to collaborate more. And then we have support from the outside. There are so many of our colleagues who are interested in supporting us. As you can see, we are working with ICORBP, Autash University, and many other partners from outside because they've seen our passion for these technologies, and they're coming to support us and exactly what we need. So let's continue collaborating. Let's continue, devising innovations, solutions. Let's continue educating ourselves. Let's continue empowering ourselves with skills so that even if technology threatens our job, we should be the people behind the technology in our field and in our sector so that we can be able to start using technology as a tool in our workspace. Otherwise, technology is going to help us to solve our problems and to develop our continent. Like we mentioned, we have so many problems in Africa. So let's think of those problems as business opportunities. So together, let's build an ecosystem that will create both empowerment and employment opportunities for our people. And, it's timely that we are in the AFCFTA ecosystem, and we can see the impact already. We're able to network with others because of the AFCFTA and because of technology. So we hope to see you at the summit. And remember, the summit is not the end. The summit is just one of the events in the series of our Week 3 tech events. Okay, so we run a number of events. So we hope to continue interacting and collaborating with you, even beyond the summit. So we invite everybody to come through. If you want to exhibit, there will be both physical and virtual exhibition. If you want to speak, you want to be on the panel, there are so many opportunities for you to come and contribute so that together, we can make this event a success. If you want to just be in attendance, that would be encouraging as well, to be motivating, to be nice to have you around. We're expecting 300 delegates per day in physical attendance, and we're hoping we can have around maybe 200 virtual attendance each day. So by the end of the event, we should be talking 1,500 physical attendance and 1,000 maybe plus on the virtual space. Collectively, it should bring us to about 2,500 attendance. So we hope to see you at the summit and beyond that. So thank you so much, Dr. Vince, for this opportunity. Thanks for the work you're doing. Thanks for everything.
You're more than welcome, and I thank you for being here. Lots of things I've learned. Mr. Fredrick Nonde Jr., MBA CEO of the Motley Institute of Business and Technology, and my co-host, William, Business Director of Altash University. That's all for now, folks. Everything, the links will be on our description box. African Future Tech Summit. Future Tech Summit will be this August. See you. God bless you all. And stay safe. Be safe. Bye.